Back guys, first hand, opened, bang, jammed on. Just the player we were talking about. End of last part, and seems like he may be going to get a bit active. Now he's shorter. Have to keep our eyes out for that. And this is the tidy guy and his donk pot, so that's the end of that chapter. Always good to get a walkie. And I'll probably just be jamming on the... Well, not now. I think we can fold now against this guy. But I would have just been jamming on the big blind. This is definitely not the sort of hand where you want to raise and call off. Because you can make him play correct. You know, if he's got Jack-9 there and we raise and he jams, he's playing the hand correctly. If he could see our cards. And it's exactly what you don't want. You want your opponent to be making mistakes. And so, if you had an ace-2 there, or pocket 2s, 3s, that sort of hand, you just want to jam. Because if you just raise, say you got pocket 3s, you raise and he jams, you know, queen-8 suited, he's played the hand correctly. Whereas if you just jam, he's going to fold that hand, and that means he's played the hand incorrectly. Because he's cost himself a lot of equity, since he would have been in a flip. But there's a significant amount of dead money out there already. And going to play this one, the Big Tamale. It's a pretty bad flop, but you know, this guy seems like the sort of guy where if you hit something, you know, he's just going to snap jam. Well, I thought he was going to snap jam there with like King 10, but some sort of queen. But as it was snap fold. He probably had ace-x, probably had him crushed. Oof. good time to see ace king suited here. And just given the way that this guy hasn't been folding, although it hasn't been to us specifically, and he probably gives us a little bit more credit than the other guy, I think I am still going to go ahead and raise here. And I've tried to set it up so that the SPR is, you know, close-ish to 1. It's actually probably could have raised a little bit bigger. I mean, it'd be better if it was right on 1, but it's 1.5 as it is. So I'm just trying to work out the best way to proceed here. I think given this guy's style, well, probably just jamming is okay. I mean, let me think about this. Yeah, I think just jamming is probably okay. Thing is, he's not really a stabber, you know, so if we check, he's not necessarily going to just shove with ace-9 or a gut shot or something funky. And at the same time, you know, he has been, well, he doesn't like to fold, but he's been tight, if that makes any sense at all. He's been tight until he actually hits a decent pair, and then he just never folds. So that being the case, yeah, I mean, that being the case, it's kind of close. Because I don't know how much fold equity we have. I mean, if he happens to have limped like a small pair, which is not impossible, yeah, then he's probably going to fold it. But he's not going to fold a queen or a jack. So, you know, we're just going to be flipping with those hands a lot anyway. We had the flush draws, overs, gut shot, any card in the deck pretty much. Yeah. And yeah, that guy, I mean, he's just proven to be just a huge donk. The queen 8 suited, limp call. Just keep writing a few notes. Don't want to get lazy with the notes. Queen 8 suited, limp call, final table bubble, SPR 1.5 post. Horrific. And just keep trying to maintain some pressure there, but the small blind is jamming at a pretty decent frequency. And yeah, I still think it's okay to just keep opening in that spot because the big blind is, as strange as it seems, tight. Tight until he actually flops a pair and then loose. And interesting to see that he goes for the limp again there against his old Brazilian buddy. This guy hasn't been raising on us too much. You know, I think he doesn't really want to tango too much with us. We've messed around with him a bit. I think he's kind of just going to small ball against us a bit and focus on the other guys. Seems to have adjusted to that style a bit. Because he was raising a lot more before. Now he's folding and he's limped. He's probably got King X here a lot. The 9's kind of a bad card, I guess. And he actually has ace jack. So he's tried to get a little bit tricky on us there, hasn't he? Try to get a little bit tricky. And I'm guessing there was a limp raise coming. Yeah, I think we just jam this one again. King 9 here. This guy's been raising a little bit too, which is kind of annoying. He's been beating us to the punch a little bit. Because we really want to sort of be opening as much as we can. I'm going to show King here, just to sort of show that... you know, I want to try and get credit in that spot. I probably prefer not to get credit against this Brazilian guy because I think he's just going to spew off to us. I'd rather show him a bluff and get him sort of annoyed because he's a spew monkey. But when you've got a short stack here that we're jamming on, I kind of rather sort of show a better card and say, yeah, just sort of fold. Because the truth is we'll just be jamming on him very wide because he's short and also the ICM. But it's important to remember that he's probably not caring about ICM too much. At least that's kind of the take on it that I have. Maybe a little bit. I mean, he hasn't been quite as active as he was before. He has been jamming, 3-bet jamming on us a bit, but you know, we're opening pretty wide and he's got a stack size to be doing that with, so he should be. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to be too worried about ICM, and so with that in mind, I think that we just want to be a little bit careful pushing the envelope too far against him, because it's going to hurt, not too much because, you know, we're the big stack, but it's going to hurt our own ICM a little bit. Probably going to get squeezed a lot here. I guess this guy can't really control himself, I think, in this spot. And I think he just feels compelled to squeeze. And the truth is, it's a pretty good spot for squeezing. But I would be a little bit worried about this guy just refusing to fold, you know. Just deciding that he's just never ever going to fold. This guy's donked pot into us a bit. Other times he's just check shoved. I don't think he has many bluffs. I think he usually just bets his hands, and if he has, you know, other times when he's got very strong, just sort of check jams it, gets it in fast. So I think when he checks, that's a good sign that we can bet. Is what I was getting at there, because this guy might be a little bit suspicious of the min, but he snap folded, so maybe not. Yeah, I mean, I thought he might. He's been jamming with a decent frequency. I'm just trying to obviously entice him there, min raising, trying to get him to jam over the top. And unfortunately, we couldn't get it. So just the timing there, you know. Interesting that he's just flatted here. I think I'm going to bet. It's pretty dry. We get good leverage. I think he's trapping some of the time with, well, wow. He's actually got, well, what does he have here? He's getting a bit stubborn here. You would think a player calling this stack size as trapping. That would be what I would normally presume. But this guy, you know, is a bit fishy, so he might actually have king 10 or just like an ace 7, something like that. Ace 10. So pretty weird that he didn't jam that pre. Yeah, very weird actually. That he would just flat it with that stack depth. Pretty easy jam four-handed, but yeah. Probably can't quite fold to his jamming frequency if he jams there, even with the raggy ace. And I mean, he's not a complete maniac, but he's jamming pretty high frequency. But it's just weird. I mean, that ace 10 suited just flat is kind of throwing me out a bit, because he was jamming so much and then just flats ace 10 suited. It's like, is he actually jamming hands, or, you know, why does he not jam ace 10 suited? That's just a great jamming hand in that spot. Thinking about flatting here. Oh, actually, I might not. I just thought sometimes if I flat, you know, this guy might squeeze. But he's just a little bit too capable of spewing this guy, so I think I'm just going to raise it. They both snap folded behind, so that made me feel a little bit better. I just think this guy's a little bit too capable of, you know, 4-betting light, and also just getting involved with hands that we crush there. You know, ace nines and stuff. I think he has a hard time letting go of those hands, and he might even commit with ace jack and ace queen and stuff like that. I think even though he's kind of deep. Not too bad a spot here for donk betting. Yeah, I think I will go for it actually. It's pretty close, but it doesn't have to work that often. And I don't think this guy's going to jam without 4-5. I don't think he's going to jam, you know, nothing. The problem is like we said before, when he does actually have a pair, you know, he gets very sticky. It's pretty close because you could call, I guess, with 10 jack, jack 9, 9, 10. Up and downs, he's probably going to play those hands pretty passively, I think. So it's pretty close, but he could actually have a 6 or 7 or even 4s or just some hand he's never folding. Ace 5. I mean, I'm not even sure if we bet again he folds ace 5 yet, because he's that sort of sticky fishy. But he might. But yeah, I think I would have preferred like a king, or obviously a queen would have been good. Maybe an overcard, some sort of thing like that. A diamond would have been nice. You know, we would have had the flush draw as well. If a 10 or a jack, I guess we could go to the barrel as well with the double gutser. So there's some good turn cards for us. It doesn't have to work that often. I think it's probably okay. And just thinking about this one here, if we want to induce or just jam. I think I will actually induce here, even though I sort of made a little... Well, I'll probably fold now. Even though I made a little speech before about how you don't want to be inducing with small aces and small pairs. I think in this sort of instance against this guy's range where we're just ahead so often, it's probably not such a bad thing. But just jamming, of course, is fine. And I'm not sure what I would have done, actually. Yeah, actually, I probably would have just jammed it, to be honest. Could be time. Yoink. We are final table after, seriously, what was it, like 2 hours? Something ridiculous. It really was. It's crazy long. Now we're finally here, and we're chip leader, and we lost our HUD. I think I will raise this guy. I got him marked as a fish. Check 6-6. But I think we get pretty good. Well, it's pretty close. But I think we get pretty decent leverage. He's actually a regular, this guy. But he's a regular fish. It's pretty close. He has a little bit of room to 4-bet. Like he might re-click to like, what would it be? 40. He might make it like 46 or something some of the time there to fold. I think not impossible. He's probably fairly suspicious of us. And in terms of a target, yeah, I mean, he's not great because, like I said, he is a fish. But at the same time, I just think start of a final table, we finally get here. It asserts pretty good ICM pressure. I think he's probably just going to fold a lot. And I just tank a little bit just to try and make it look like we maybe actually had a decision. But yeah, I think, yeah. I mean, I think it's important at this point to sort of maintain the aggression. It would be good if we could get this HUD to pop up because I want to see exactly how fishy this guy is. So I'm just going to stop the HUD from getting hands and restart it. And I think actually I'm going to raise this guy again and what am I going to call? What's his depth here? Get hands while playing. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20-ish. Yeah, I guess I'm going to call. It's pretty close. I mean, it's annoying because we get this sort of flop a lot and we check fold the best hand a lot. But you know, if I 3-bet him and he jams, I don't really want to fold against him, especially, you know, because I just say he's fish and we just 3-bet him last hand and folded. You know, I just think that we would have the best hand a lot, but at the same time, I don't really think we need to go back down to 200,000 if we lose a flip. You know, I don't think we need to. I just don't think it's worth our while going back down to 200,000. I mean, I just think we can sort of maneuver better than just getting in some sort of huge flip at that point. So the HUD has come up, and yeah, it's kind of as I thought. He doesn't fold to too many 3-bets. 39%, a little bit on the low side. And this guy's snap called. I guess. I guess, you know, you see this a lot with ace high, but I guess he's got 9, 10, 9 jack suited a lot, maybe king 10. He's got 7s. Didn't want to build a big pot pre. Doesn't believe we have anything. I think betting the flop is okay. Once in a while he might have the gutses, which is kind of annoying, but I don't really want to fire the second barrel on this card, I think. And we do have a queen blocker as well. Yeah. He's got king jack a lot. He's probably just controlling. We don't really know anything about him. And time will tell. I mean, I've got him nuts as a fish, but this guy is actually his stats on Sharkscope are actually, his score is 50, which is actually the minimum you can get. It's actually out of 50 to 100, and his score is actually 50. So he's actually got the minimum possible score, which is really rare. You know, it's actually pretty hard to find. So, you know, naturally I just marked him as a huge fish. You know, but we don't know his tendencies yet, so we still have to be a little bit careful. We don't know in what way is he a fish. I mean, we've just seen him, you know, call out of position, which is a good start. You know, small blind, calling out of position, check calling flops. You know, all the fishy signs are there. I think this guy has a hard time letting go. So it's pretty sick, but I'm not going to fold this hand. If he has just a matter of what sizing here do we want to go with. He's pretty inelastic with his ranges, so I think we can go pretty big here. I think he's got ace 10, king 10, 10 queen, all that sort of stuff. He's just never folding. And as it was, he woke up with 10 jack. King queen, ace 9, king 9, 8 9, 9 10. I don't think he's folding any of those hands. Actually kind of surprised he check called flop with it. I think it's pretty gutsy for him. Because he normally seems like he plays his hands very fast. So the donkey got us. Yeah, it's pretty annoying. We haven't been running very well these final tables, and just sort of out flopped there again where, you know, we're in a situation where even just second best pair there, I think he's going to stack off, but, you know, we had him dominated, but just happened to flop top 2. We find ourselves back with the pack. Pretty decent value there. Ace 10. Excuse me. Pretty interesting hand there. Interesting to see the small 3-bet there. Well, it wasn't that small, was it? Pretty standard. Just interesting all around the way he played it. It actually wasn't that bad the way he played it. I mean, actually played it okay. I thought it was just, well, I mean, judging on this, the number that his ability number, I thought that's just a spot where he was just gonna just do something crazy and just shove flop. Well, not quite, but you know, just do some freaky stuff. Just going for it. Not sure this guy can fold. Couldn't do it. Value time here, I think, for this guy. Kind of a, I wouldn't say tough, but it's a pretty annoying spot we're in here. Yeah, I mean, we're M20, but we just got this massive fish behind us. This guy's pretty fishy. Well, I mean, they're all fishy, but it's just hard to... Yeah, I mean, I prefer the final tables, obviously, when, you know, the players are more sort of, I see them aware and playing a little bit more carefully. And then we can sort of use that to our advantage. But these guys aren't really playing that way, you know, they're just splashing around, fish style, and, you know, that hurts our own ICM when we collide with them. You know, our chance of busting has increased, and it just, you know, hurts us as well as them. It benefits the other players that aren't involved in the hand. And so, you know, I was hoping we could sort of abuse the other players a little bit more. I think that pocket eights at the start of this final table was pretty close. Ray's calling off there. I just think that player, because he's a bit spewy, is definitely capable of jamming ace 10 suited and ace jack off up, and maybe even sixes and sevens, which we obviously crush. But, I mean, I just didn't want to quite get in that situation. As it was, we donked off half our stack anyway to the nit. Well, to the fish nit. Nit pre-flop, and until he actually flops something, and then just never folds. And, I mean, I certainly don't regret that hand. I mean, he had us in bad shape, obviously, with top two, but I just think he's just too bad not to go for a lot of value there. So, interesting spot we've had as well, where if it had a folded to the button, then he raised. I've actually been folding a lot more in that spot where I would normally be 3-betting. And that's just because of the Brazilian on the button is just a bit of a non-believer and a bit of a fish. So again, I just got to be a little bit careful with the timing, because they're not just going to fold a lot of hands that you want them to. And especially a hand like ace-4, if you get resistance, is obviously hard to play. It doesn't flop well, and I'm not continuing if we get 4-bet, obviously, so I think I played a lot tighter than I normally would in a tournament like this. But, well, not in a tournament like this, but just in general. I played a lot tighter than I normally would be, but I think in this particular field and this dynamic that we have here, I think it's actually kind of makes a lot of sense, because we've had a little bit of depth of stack where I'm not really in any hurry to make a move, and these players are capable of making such epic mistakes. We haven't had to push the envelope and take some thin lines. I mean, even the King Jack before, I mean, sure, you know, it's a big jam when he check jams turn relatively, and not that big, but you know, it's just one of those spots where we don't really beat. Well, I mean, we do beat a few. I was going to say we don't beat a ton of hands, but when we're talking about this specific player, I mean, we beat enough hands. But I mean, it's not a great spot. It's not like we had a set or the nuts or something. We only had top pair with a second best kicker, but I just think that even that wasn't really that thin against this particular opponent. I think another thing too about it, this dynamic, because it is a deep stack, the stacks are obviously all M sort of 20. We've got a short stack is M11, and then everyone's sort of above 20. There's a 17, we've got a Brazilian guy to our right's M17. And I think these guys are really kind of, they think, well, it's deep stack, I can call with a lot of hands. And I think that too makes it a little bit hard for you to sort of run over the table or anything like that, or get away with too much, because it's not like the normal situation. That's a funny bet. What the hell does that? I really want this guy to call so I can see. Like, does he just have, like, King 10? He's just like, that's it, I don't want to see any more cards? Does he have, does he just do it with a funky Jack 8? And just that's his version of semi-bluffing? It's just funny. I mean, the stats that we've got him on have him as kind of passive. But he's just been doing that a lot, where he just over jams massive amounts. And the thing is, he check called top 2 against us. So what the hell does that jam? If he just traps with top 2, I mean, is he just got top pair? Or is it a draw? Maybe he's got absolutely nothing, but that would be pretty odd for his stats. So I'm just puzzled as to what part of his range does that. Maybe he actually does do that with Jack Queen as a semi-bluff. Maybe he does do that. I mean, he trapped us with top 2. Or maybe he just does it with hands that are vulnerable, that he sees as vulnerable, like Ace 10 there, where sort of any Jack Queen or King is bad for him. Maybe he doesn't control pots so much. I mean, since he trapped us with top 2 on a dangerous board, you think he would have to be trapping with like 2 pair there on a drier board, surely. So I guess he just has a pair. And maybe, or maybe, you know, a big draw up and down with overs and that sort of thing. That's very possible. I think it actually looks like this Triple X Scoop guy has been a little bit more active than he has, because he actually has been limping a little bit. So, wow, that looks strong, doesn't it? That looks crazy strong, and it's going to be hard for this guy to fold again. But at the same time, I mean, this just does not look like it's ever a bluff. Wow. It looked like... It did look like this Ryden Ridden was going for thin value. It looked like kind of once he saw the river bet, he was kind of convinced he had the best hand. And yeah, I mean, it is very close, I think. Oops. Whoa, what's happening here? Come back to us. Okay, you want to play hardball. Well, there's only one table this can be. Looks like we have a little bug. Or not. You're just being a fish. The hands are just sorting weirdly. They're not sorting in order. They're sorting by pot size. Okay, that's what's happened. I was freaking out there. They were sorting by pot size somehow. Must have clicked it accidentally. Okay. Don't want to miss any of this crazy stuff going on here. To fish at it. Wow. Bet smaller, she hits the ace. Check, check. How does it go check, check? It's crazy. So I am going to isolate here. Wow, this is good now. Well, if we could flop a pair, it'd be good. Both fish in, and a hand that's likely to have them crushed. You know, they're likely to have, you know, Queen 10 suited, you know, King Jack and stuff. And unfortunately, no joy. Can we ever have the best hand? I think we only have to have the best hand here like 7 or 8% of the time. And I think we actually might, because he might just sometimes have Queen 10 suited, King 10, or like 9 10 suited. I actually think he's got ace high a lot. Yeah, he's got ace high. But, you know, at the same time, it's if we raise river, I mean, he's kind of just the ultimate obvious bluff. And I don't know if he folds, but he's a fish, so he might not like be thinking, oh, you know, he's not sort of repping anything. He might just be thinking, oh, well, I can't call, I've got ace high. But I think calling, thinking that we only have to be good like, yeah, 8% of the time, or whatever it was small. I think we are. I think we are good around 10 or 12% of the time there. Looked like he had ace high, ace 10, ace 9, something like that. But I think that his overcall pre-flop is a little bit wide, and he might just feel obliged to, have to bet to win river and just make a stab with a weak hand. Which he kind of was. He kind of was doing that. We had the one hand worse that we'll probably call. It's probably the... Well, I mean, I guess we could have had a few other ace highs that might call, but not many. Not too many. It's kind of just the worst situation possible. Just getting owned by the fish. And it's just such tough going. It's painful. Absolutely painful. There's a break coming up, and it's going to go and put my head in a bucket of ice water or something, I think. Just very painful at this stage here. These guys just owning our soul. This guy has been opening with a reasonable frequency. And he's actually probably not as bad as these guys. He's got some idea. He's very bad, but he's, like I said, he's a regular. But he's just a regular fish. But these guys are just really, really... Yeah, I mean, if we can just get a hand or just something. And just... Please, just end this pain one way or the other. So... yeah, hopefully next level is our level, and be back with more action then.